Empowering women as economic, political, and social actors can also change policy choices and have positive spillover effects on society at large.
Too often, the struggle for women's rights is framed as essentially protecting victims. I'm not denying that there is a great deal of violence and injustice around the world, or that it victimizes women and girls, but women, and I have only to look around this room to confirm this, are not intrinsically weak or passive. On the contrary, when we are given a level playing field to work with, when we are free to claim our rights, we are extremely powerful drivers of progress. And this is just as true of a poor woman in a fishing village as it is of a director of a multinational agency. There are only two reasons why we need to dismantle the obstacles to equality so that women can take charge of their own lives. The first reason, quite simply, is justice and rights. No society can sustainably flourish without a real commitment to what, to me, is one of the most resonant statements ever made in an international treaty. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights.
I think the first step is really the step of education and the choose of profession. And from this, many things are the consequences: the unequal salary for the same work, the unequal possibilities to go to university or higher education. I mean, all this makes one great complex, I would say, that frames the possibility of women. Here we are lucky women. We had a chance and we had the possibility to develop our power and to be influential. Don't forget that many thousands and many more than thousands and 100,000s and millions of women are working at the grassroots and are struggling really to change the society from the bottom.
In the Belgian Senate, all legislation concerning violence in the family, it has been proposed by women. Of course, men voted these laws, otherwise it would not be legislation. But the women had to take the initiative. It's the same for, Belgium, we have an action plan on Resolution 1325 of the Security Council of the United Nations on women and peace and noir. It was also women in the parliament, over party in groups together. We promoted it. We asked the government to take action and to have such an action plan. So why did we get there at 40% women elected? And I think it's the 12th position in the world.
The rights of women should not be a gift by the president or the wife of the president. It should be a stable right in the constitution. Nobody should take it from the women.
I was born a refugee in my own country, and this is something I realized after working for the UNHCR for so many years, what a refugee is. But I was born, because I was born in 1948, a few days before the General Assembly proclaimed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And my parents, at my birth, 10 days after my birth, were unaware of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But they did know that we could not go and eat in a restaurant. I could not go to a hospital when I was sick. That was segregated. And so I grew up hearing, particularly from my mother, that at school, that I would have to be as doubly as good as the boys. And then when I got out into the workplace, that I would have to be twice as good as a white woman and 4 times as good as a white man in order to get the same job and to be paid half as much.
At different times, difficulties are different. When I was a young student where not many of the Roma women were studying, being a Roma at that time was an obstacle. Later on, when I became a politician, being a young woman became a bigger problem that time. So it changes, and it's still changing today. I'm still facing, and I'm shocked to face discrimination as an MEP. So it doesn't mean that you become educated and you that you certainly gain some respect. Now I have to go back to my own community and make the future generation of the children to be prepared to be a good partner in this progress, in this peace progress.
Where women have been seen as the victims of war. Of course, they are all victims of war. Mainly the rape that is happening. You see them, East Congo. Don't need to name many of them. Women are victims of war, but they didn't create the war. They were not the one who initially, I'm not saying that women are not part, but they are not the leader of creating the war in Africa. But yet when it comes to participation to resolve the conflict, even though the UN say that they are the best equipped to resolve the conflict, but they are not participants.
Because women are really the force, the army of peace, naturally. We really need to invest in that really amazing father-daughter relationship. There are a lot of fathers who make things happen for their daughters. It takes a supportive father for a girl in a society like Afghanistan to say, I'm going to take all the risks because I know my father is behind me.
We've been talking about breaking barriers, but we haven't discussed breaking our own internal barriers. And I think those are the first ones, sometimes the most difficult to break. That my decision to wear hijab at the age of 17 was a free choice, but it broke a certain barrier within me where I chose conscience over conformity.
We need to take the issues in our own hands in a manner that could be really making a difference in our perception. We have been celebrating for the first time ever last October 11th, the Day of the Girl. And we also celebrate on the 8th of March, the Day of the Woman. I think that we will make a great leap forwards once those 2 days would become redundant.